Welcome to my scientifically informed insider look at mental health topics. If you find this video to be interesting or helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if I can take a look at the Colleen Ballinger controversy and can I rate her YouTube apology. So she has this apology video and a lot of people have questions as to whether it was sincere or not, whether it addressed the issue at hand or not. So Colleen Ballinger is an extremely popular YouTube personality. She does singing, acting, and comedy. It looks like she has 3 YouTube channels. She has over 10 million subscribers on the largest, almost 9 million on the second largest, and over 3 million on the smallest. The most popular channel is called Miranda Sings. So on this one, Colleen plays a character who I guess is supposed to be extremely annoying. And I looked at the channel, and if that was her objective, she was successful. Even though it's not my type of content, it's clear that Colleen is fairly talented. She's a good singer, very outgoing, social, energetic, and extroverted. And this is where we get into the controversy. So as I understand it, Colleen produces a number of videos, live streams. She's very active. And I guess as part of this, she has this thing that she does where she sends fans items that were used in the videos. So there was this live stream where she had lingerie. It was a bra and underwear. And her and one of her friends named Corey, they were making fun of how ugly the clothes were. Corey put the lingerie on over his clothes. But other than that, no one actually wore the items, as I understand it. One of her fans, a 13-year-old boy named Adam, asked if he could have those items. And eventually, Colleen mailed the lingerie to him. Now, in looking at that video, it appears that she knew exactly who Adam was. Like she knew how old he was. She even joked about how his parents might be mad if she sent him lingerie. Now, what happened after this was actually fairly predictable in the world of internet celebrities. When somebody makes a mistake, people will go and try to find other mistakes. And there are always other mistakes to find. Colleen has been making videos for a long time, and we see that this video came to light. It was recorded 14 years ago. In this video, she did a comedy skit that was clearly racist and insulting toward people who are Hispanic. Then we see this information about a fat-shaming incident where Colleen was the one doing the shaming. And on top of this, there was an incident when she was very young where a family dog bit her and that dog was put down, I assume by a veterinarian. This clearly wasn't her fault, but she spoke about the topic in an insensitive way. So what leads to behaviors like these from somebody like Colleen? She doesn't seem like an irrational or evil person. How can a good person have done these things? Well, I'm going to look at these incidents one by one. So I'm starting with the incident over talking about the dog that was killed. I think here she simply didn't understand how this would be received. In her line of work, there's a tendency to talk a lot. She's clearly talkative. There's always pressure to say more, right? To share more. It just came out the wrong way. This really doesn't seem as intentional as the other behaviors, but I can understand why people would be offended by it. Now moving to the fat-shaming incident. This is likely a product of youth and impulsivity. It's clearly wrong, and something that she would have known was wrong in the moment when she did it, unlike potentially the discussion about the dog, where one could argue that she was simply unaware of how her behavior would be interpreted. This type of behavior is sometimes tied to arrogance and immaturity. Now moving to the racist video. This is something that was also clearly wrong. She would have known it was wrong in the moment. It's likely that she believed that what she was doing was funny, and she didn't want to or did not care to take an honest look at that destructive behavior. I think what stands out about this incident is just like the incident with the lingerie, she had a lot of time to think about this. I don't think this was a live video. She recorded it, and she looked at it during post-production, I would think, and she still thought it was okay to release it. Then we have the lingerie incident. I think this is the one that tends to bother people the most because the other incidents happened some time ago, but this one points to a more recent example of poor decision-making skills. Also, it appears here that she shared details about her divorce with this young man and let him log into and post on her Twitter account. So it just adds more questions about her judgment. Now, with this in mind, it really does seem like this occurred because of a lack of awareness and not some evil intention. Watching the video clip, it was apparent that she did not appreciate the gravity of what she was discussing. Sometimes when people are having fun when they want to appear lighthearted or comical, it can be hard to shift out of that mode. So maybe one could say, okay, she was impulsive in that moment. The problem here is that she forgot to mail the lingerie, and Adam reminded her, and then she mailed it. So there was actually plenty of time to think about this behavior before she actually engaged in it. Regardless of her intent, this was a fairly significant lapse in judgment. I believe that at the time she mailed this, she was somewhere around 29 years old. If the situation had been reversed, and a 29-year-old male had sent something to a 13-year-old female, it would have caused an uproar even more pronounced than what we see with Colleen. I don't believe that what she did was technically illegal, but it was technically not intelligent. If an accusation of other wrongdoing was made, which of course it was not in this case, the lingerie mailing incident would have corroborated that, right? So it could have been a lot of trouble for her. I'm sure that Colleen has a number of young fans. She just needs to learn how to set that boundary. It needs to be a firm boundary. So are all these isolated incidents, or do they point to some larger problem? There's no way to know for sure, but I think it's possible that we're just seeing many, if not all, of Colleen's mistakes because she is a celebrity. People who are not celebrities make mistakes too, but many of those go unseen. Another part of what's going on here could be extroversion. As I've talked about before in other videos, extroversion is usually thought of as socially acceptable, but it has marked downsides, including excitement seeking and being talkative. All things being equal, if somebody is looking for adventure and they happen to be talkative, they're going to make a lot more mistakes. So what about the apology video? Was it sincere? Was this a good apology video? I've seen many of these apology videos over the years. I found some to be sincere and others to be insincere. There are several aspects of Colleen's apology video that really stood out to me. Colleen accepted full responsibility for everything that she did. She essentially said that all those behaviors that were pointed out were her fault. She acknowledged how bad the behavior was, how damaging it was, and I was left with the impression that she learned from her mistakes. I think there are really three keys to an apology video, or any type of apology, whether it's recorded or not. We see ownership, remorse, and a discussion of what was learned so that the problem could be prevented in the future. All three elements were in her apology. Under the circumstances, I think this was one of the better apology videos I've ever seen. I can't really think of much else that she could have added to make it better. Colleen strikes me as somebody who thinks carefully about the consequences of bad behavior, which is a good trait. The next step is to work carefully to consider consequences beforehand. And again, it seems like she does understand that. I think when it comes to celebrities and bad behavior, it really does come down to two assessments. First, what % of the time do they engage in bad behavior? For Colleen, we see 4 incidents over a fairly long career considering her age, with a lot of exposure to the public. Her bad behavior percentage is very small. If the expectation of a celebrity is they never make a mistake, then that expectation will always go unmet. Second, does the behavior actually point to a person's character? Like even if the bad behavior percentage was less than 1%, are we really seeing a glimpse into who that person is when looking at their bad behavior? Like the celebrity who throws a tantrum, but the rest of the time they appear very polite. Which one is the real celebrity? I think the best evidence here supports the idea that Colleen is pro-social and well-intentioned. I'm inclined to believe her mistakes were essentially lapses in judgment, not likely to be repeated. So I wish Colleen the best. I hope she learned from her mistakes. I know whenever I talk about controversial topics like this, there will be a variety of opinions. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comments section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be interesting. Thanks for watching.